Hello and welcome to our programme Q&A webinar. Today's session will cover the MSc in Genetics and Genomics. And we're joined by our panel. They are just still coming on, so hopefully we'll have a couple of students joining us, so I'll keep a wee eye on that and we'll pop them onto the panel. But in the meantime, Leah, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about the programme?
Yeah, sure. So I am Dr. Leah Martin, and I am one of the programme directors for the MSc Medical Genetics and Genomics. We're quite a big programme, so there's actually two of us who co-direct the programme, myself and Kirsten, my colleague, will hopefully be joining us as well. The programme, every year we have between 35 and 50 students normally joining us from all over the world. And we are a full year, as I'm sure you'll know, top programme, so from September to September, and various courses, top courses, we'll probably go into that in a minute, top courses in the first part of the programme, and then finished off by a research dissertation in the latter 3 months of the programme. So we've got alumni of all over the world now working in every possible genetics and non-genetics job you can imagine. We've been running since 1984. So we have literally hundreds of graduates, alumni all over the world that we can put you in contact with. We've got quite a big network of graduates that may be able to help you in the future as well. So yeah, that's us.
Perfect. And what kind of background do students typically have?
Our students have got quite a range of backgrounds. Mainly science degrees. Some students come with an actual BSc in genetics or biochemistry or molecular biology, sort of, predominantly that the molecular side of things. But we also have a lot of students who come, particularly from international universities, with a background in something that's maybe a bit broader, so biomedical sciences, genetic engineering type programs. We have quite a few medical students have joined us over the years as well. We've had a vet, dentists, pharmacists. They tend to not be so many every year. It tends to be more science graduates, I would say, in the main. But we're willing to consider people from quite a range of backgrounds. If you've got quite a bit of relevant genetics in your degree, you will find it easier, the programme easier. But we are certainly willing to look at people's previous qualifications when we're admitting people.
Perfect. It's maybe worth noting that if you are kind of worried that your degrees, or you're not sure if it will be suitable, we do have the programme administrator email address on the programme webpage. That's maybe quite a good starting point, just to pop an email in and just you could discuss if you think that would be suitable.
Yeah.
Perfect. And about, I suppose, location, like where are the classes typically held?
Okay, so I do have a wee map. Will I share my screen? Our classes, Glasgow University, I'll share in a second. Glasgow University has its main campus in the west end of Glasgow, which is a really nice location. I'm sure many of you have explored the location. Where we are based, we have some classes on campus, but I'll share my PowerPoint for you because this is much easier to see. There we go. Sharing. So the campus, sorry, that's the centre of town over here. So this red circle here shows the centre of town of Glasgow. The main campus of Glasgow University is over in the West End, where my arrow is pointing now up in Hill Head. So here you can see just to the west of the city. And then we are based over just the other side of the river at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital. It's the largest teaching hospital, I'm pretty sure, in Scotland. So it's a big teaching hospital, even by UK standards. It is a fabulous location for the course because we have a big learning teaching centre where we'll be based with our own lab that we use, but also we have access to all the clinical scientists in genetics who work in the hospital, and they come and teach on the course. So we have, because we're based on the hospital site, we have a real access to the people who are at the sort of coalface of the job, who are actually, and clinical geneticists as well, and genetic counsellors, so they come and give lectures. Most of our students do stay on the Glasgow University campus side of the river and commute over to the Queen Elizabeth. There's a very good transport links. There's actually just a new bridge being built that you can actually just walk over, but there's transport links buses. Buses from Partick take about 10 minutes. which is just the area the university's in. Some people get the underground, but yeah, some people just walk over. You can also, there's a tunnel that goes through the river. You can also cycle through as well. Transport links are very good, but we occasionally teach on campus from time to time. Your exams will be on the main campus as well.
Perfect. And even though you're not based on the main campus, you'll still be able to use all the sort of facilities there as well. It's worth saying, like the
Yeah,
libraries and things.
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
libraries, sports buildings, things like that. All the student kind of clusters and hubs on the main campus. Our students quite often book rooms for group meetings on the main campus as well. So they're doing group work.
perfect. And I know there's no typical week during an MSc, but we're always asked, like, how often should a student expect to be sort of in class, and how much work's then expected out with classes?
Yeah, I mean, we say the program is a full-time program, so we're thinking about 40 hours a week in terms of work. You'll not be by any means in class all that time. We would expect, because of our location, we try and put classes with all, you won't be coming over to the hospital for 1 hour generally. We try to put classes, multiple classes on the one day. So I would say in the first semester, you could expect to certainly be in 3 days a week in the hospital campus, with the other 2 days for study. That will vary a lot throughout the year. So, for example, just now our students are probably in one day in classes, and then they're also in the lab, potentially 2 half days at the moment, this point in the year. Later on in the year, if you're doing a dissertation in a lab, you might be in every day, all day, every day in the lab. Or if you're doing a systematic review style dissertation or a data one, you might not actually be in classes at all, particularly. It varies a lot, but I would say at the start of semester one, certainly come expecting to be in, on the hospital campus at least 3 days a week in general.
Perfect. I'm assuming once it comes to sort of registration opening, that's when it sort of becomes clear when and sort of what days you're in. That be right?
Yes, you'll get all the data pushed onto your timetable app, so you'll be able to see it. We also send out PDFs of the timetables as well, so students have just if you want to print a paper copy of that, but you'll have it on your Glasgow University app. It'll tell you when all your classes are.
Perfect. And you kind of touched on it there, but how much sort of practical work is there throughout the course?
Yeah, so in the first term, the first semester, we tend to offer labs in some of the basic skills in labs, PCR, for example, gel electrophoresis. Some people come with no lab background, so we do an introduction to labs, just basic weighing, pipetting skills. So don't worry if you have no lab background. Some students come with a lot of lab background. So in the first semester, you'll do that. You'll do your kind of basic lab techniques. In the second semester, just now, our students are running their own mini projects. They are designing a restriction fragment length polymorphism assay, designing primers, and then testing them out on different DNA samples, optimizing the conditions, and then running gels. So there's a decent amount of practical lab work. Some people do lab work for their dissertations as well. Quite a number of students will do that. But we aren't focused particularly, our focus isn't in training people to be able to work in a laboratory. We are aware that all the different labs across the world will use different techniques, that if you go to work in a lab, you can be trained in any of these techniques when you go. So as long as you have a grasp of the basic skills, that's the main thing. We're much, much more focused on the analytical and interpretation skills at master's level. And that's kind of what sets you out apart from other people when you have our degree, is that you will be able to analyse and interpret and theorise, make hypotheses from your data, rather than just simply being able to work in a lab and pipette samples. That's something you can certainly learn on the job with the basics that we give you.
Perfect. And it's been mentioned a few times, but can you tell us a wee bit more about the research project? So, how does a student pick their topic? Can they choose if it's lab based or not? And when that can all
Yeah.
happens?
So that's about to happen now for this year's students. It's about to happen. What happens is that there's a number of master's programs running across our school, if you like, and all staff across the school submit projects that they want students to work on for them. We have a list of probably 700 projects or something like that. I think it's that number, hundreds of projects, but we also have hundreds of students across all the different programs. So you will get out a booklet which it tells you all the different projects you can do, and you pick Let's say there's 700, some of them take 10, so it's not like there's 700 individual projects you need to look through. You will pick from the list of projects, your top 6. I think it is your preference. Some of them will be lab-based, some of them will be data analysis on the big genomic databases, and some of them will be systematic style reviews. And what you pick probably depends on your career goals, but also on what type of projects you've done before. If you've done a lab-based project in your undergraduate degree, you might well want to get an experience of doing a systematic style review, for example. And you pick them. All of the project choices from across the faculty come back to us, and then we go through them all and we allocate as many students as possible to one of the top 6. If you don't get your top 6, you do keywords, you write keywords of things you're interested in, and we'll assign you to something that you're interested in, even if it's not one of your top 6. There's some projects that always sound trendy and are very popular, but people the title of a project doesn't actually really tell you exactly what it's going to be about, and some people who don't get their top project still really enjoy the project. But everybody gets something, and tends to get something that they're interested in and do. Almost everybody really enjoys the project.
I know when I speak to students, it's always one of the things that comes out that they just enjoy because I think they can just tweak it more to maybe
Yeah,
what their interests are.
yeah, definitely.
And in terms of assessments, how are students assessed throughout their MSc? Is it different sort of format?
Yes, so we've got quite a variety of formats for assessment actually, and students who come to us from other universities do tend to say that they are surprised in some ways at how many different ways they're assessed in. So it's not just write an essay and the essay gets marked, or sit a test and that's it marked. We do have them. We have not so much essays, but lab report interpretations. So we'll give you some data, you'll interpret it, and you'll write it up in the context of medical genetics with reference to the literature. We'll mark them. That's the first semester. You'll do quite a lot of that type of work. We also have one of the big modules is assessed by a class test. You'll actually sit that in April, and it's based on cases. So we give you a case of a family. You might have to analyse the pedigree, talk about different tests. We give you test results. You'll interpret them, do follow up. So it's quite an interactive style of test. You'll do it. That's an exam-based thing. But we also have We have poster vivas. So you'll design a poster on a topic you're interested in. You get to pick the topic, and you'll have a viva exam on it. You'll do a assessment that is part of a presentation on screening programs that you do as part of a group. And you'll give a talk to an audience, be assessed on that. You'll also do some group work that's assessed. You'll compile a big report along with a group of about 7 or 8 other students, and you'll be assessed on the group report, and you'll peer review each other. So we have a lot of different assessment types, and they suit different people. Some people love group work, some people love writing reports, some people enjoy exam type assessment. So we try to have across the board different types of assessment so that everybody has a chance to do well in the type that they enjoy the most, if you can ever enjoy assessments.
um, and is it possible to manage a part-time job alongside the MSc? It's always something we're asked.
That was a question. Yes, many of our students do work in part-time employment. It's not always easy to get part-time employment. I know some students do struggle to actually find part-time. Quite often students work in catering, hospitality type jobs. It's very difficult to get a job. I know I'm quite often asked, how do I get a job in a lab as a part-time job? That's very, very difficult. Not many students do that, but a lot of students work in catering, hospitality type industries, and we recommend that students don't do more than 16 hours a week. We would always say, just because of the workload, that I think if you do more than that, it can be a struggle. But it is certainly possible. It's very full on if you're working part-time and doing the course. But students do manage it every year. There's multiple students manage it every year.
Yeah. It's something to note as well that your visa might dictate how
Yes,
long you can work as well.
of
And
course,
actually, I
yeah.
was speaking to a student the other day, and they were saying that flexibility in a job is actually quite important. Just
Yeah.
that your classes might be different week on week, so you can't
Yeah.
necessarily commit to a certain day.
Mm.
And what about preparing for an MSc? For some people, they've been in work for a little bit and they're coming back to study, or they've went from undergraduate to
Mm.
postgraduate. Is there anything they can do to set themselves up for starting?
Yeah, I mean, we actually I'll share my screen because again, I have a couple of slides on this. Um, I would recommend things like MOOCs, these massive open online courses. I would recommend looking at some genetics type ones. There's a lot out there on Future Learn platform, for example, that are quite interesting. The two specific things that we move my slides on. Yeah, two specific things is we send all our students, and this is an older version of, we send all our students a link to a revision, genetics revision pre-MSc Moodle course. So this is our virtual learning platform we use, and all students get this VLE and it link when they join, and it before they come to Glasgow, and it takes them through the basics of genetics to try and help students get up to standard. The other thing we'd recommend is our own article, an article myself and a colleague, one of the other lecturers on the MSc programme. We co-wrote called The Genetic Basis of Disease, and it's quite a big article, but it'll take you quite a while to go through, but it covers a wide range of material that would be of interest for preparing for the MSc. So I would highly recommend having a look at that article. If your genetics background possibly excuse me isn't so strong, we do offer some catch-up sessions in the first semester for students who possibly don't have such a strong genetics background, because as I say, we take students from such a variety of backgrounds. There are bound to be some who find it a wee bit more difficult at the start to catch up. But we try and remedy that. We'll give everybody a sort of multiple choice little type test in the first week just to see where you're at, so that we can identify who would benefit from sort of a bit more support in the first couple of weeks to catch up with the baseline where some students will already be.
Perfect. And something we're asked all the time is after the MSc, what career opportunities are there with your MSc?
Our students, they go into a variety of different careers. A lot of students come wanting to go in to a clinical scientist training programme. So in the UK, there's a big clinical scientist training programme, mainly based down in England, and a lot of our students apply to that. And every year, quite a number of students normally are successful every year in getting into that. But a lot of students go into what are called genetic technologists posts, again, across the UK, working in hospitals. They're not the clinical scientist posts, but they're almost like a way in to the clinical scientist post. So if you don't become a clinical scientist straight away, a lot of students work as a genetic technologist, analysing samples, carrying out the tests in the laboratory. So that's one side of things. That's the NHS side of things that a lot of people are interested in. And I would say a lot of students that are interested in that are successful in getting in eventually to NHS type jobs. A number of our students every year will go to do PhDs as well. That's another common pathway all over the world, different universities for that. Some of our students going to go and work in small biotech companies and firms across Glasgow and much wider. I know that a number of students come to us because of an interest in genetic counselling. It's a tricky one. Every year I have multiple conversations with people about that. In the UK, there is a scientist training programme in genetic counselling, which you can apply to after our programme. And our programme probably gives you an advantage in your application because you've got a strong genetics background, but it's very, very competitive to get into that. I know that other students do use their genetic degree with us to then go into genetic counselling in other countries where maybe the standard for registration is different. That some students come from a genetic counselling background to do our degree and then go back to do that in other countries. But yeah, there's a huge range. Some students go into medical writing type jobs, that kind of thing. We've just run a careers seminar for this year's students. We give a lot of careers advice. You'll have a mentor in the programme who will chat to you about your careers options, help you with your CV writing, also provide references for you, that kind of thing. So there is a lot of career support as well throughout the programme.
Perfect. We have covered, I think, all the questions there that were submitted beforehand, and then some
Okay.
common ones. Just anybody that's in sort of joining us live, if you've got any questions, please do post them into the chat, and we've got a few minutes that we can answer those. just while we wait to see if anybody has any questions, is there anything that we've maybe not touched on that you think we should cover?
I've got one slide that has the program structure on it, which
Yeah,
might be
super.
people might be interested in. Again, I just need to go back. Yeah, so oh, my window closed. Sorry. Just if you get any questions that people want, and instead, then feel free to just ask. Yeah, so this is the program structure here. I think you can see that. So the first kind of 4 months, you're doing a genetic disease module, essentially, our course we call it. It's a big 60 credit course where you're learning all about different diseases, genetic basis of disease, diagnostic techniques, analysis, interpretation, therapeutic approaches, all kinds of the basics of genetics, medical genetics. Then you can see now the students this time in the year, they've just finished a small, shorter case investigations course where they're working as part of a group to solve a problem. The SNP assay design is the one where they're working in the lab all the time, designing their own project. And then students get an option to at this point in the year as well. Most of our students do a clinical genomics option with our own, the consultant medical geneticist who worked on the course. But some students choose to do bioinformatics or courses on cancer, various things like that. And then you also get a choice of disease screen, well, not a choice, so you also do a course on disease screening in April, May, quite a short course about screening programs. And then you do your project or dissertation in May, June, July over the summer period. That's just that. You can see that the genetic disease is worth a third of the course. The project is worth a third, and the other, the remaining third.
Perfect. And actually, just when I seen that some of the program courses overlap, do students know the sort of different assessment dates before each, just if there's any that are kind of coming close to each other?
Yes, that's a good point. We at the start of the semester we will post on the virtual learning environment. We post a PDF with all of the different assessment dates, so students should have all the assessment dates, a couple of months in advance. And we have refined it over the years that your assessments shouldn't overlap too much in terms of if you're doing an assessment for one course, in the main you'll not be doing an assessment for other courses at the same time in the main.
Perfect. Well, I think we must have covered everything because we
Okay.
don't have any further
No
questions.
further questions.
What I'll do is I'll pop the administrator's email address into the
Mm,
chat there.
brilliant,
So
yeah.
after today, you're not alone. If you do think of any further questions, do please get in touch. And then if there's demand, we can then run a further session if that's helpful.
Yeah.
We have recorded this session as well, so that will be sent out in the next couple of days once it's uploaded. And yeah, and like I say, if you get any further questions, do get in touch. But thanks very much, Leah, for joining us, and thanks to all our attendees as well. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you all come September
Yes,
time.
that would be really nice. Hopefully.
Thanks very much. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.